Good evening, Mestre Tanaka. Good evening. Good evening, friend channel. Good evening to everyone who hears us. Once again, we from the United Brotherhoods are incredibly happy to be here, transmitting these messages, always in search of the best for humanity in this special period for you on planet Earth. We are also grateful for the protection we receive from our angels of light, commanded by Archangel Michael, who is always with us, not only protecting us from the negative energies that may be circulating amongst you, Mestre Tanaka, friend channel, and the people present here, but also enlightening us, beings of light, so that we have peace and congruence in the ideas that we are passing on to you. Today, the subject that we are going to talk about is what happens on the astral plane. What is life like on the astral plane? What is the life plan on the astral plane? It is important that you human beings have this awareness and the knowledge of what is to come for all of you, because we have only one certainty, which is that we will all leave the material plane and live in a different dimension after disincarnating. As you used to say, after the silver cord or light tube breaks when the physical body dies. We have already had the opportunity to talk about what happens right after the disembodiment, but it is important that you know the steps that are traced later during your life on the astral plane. It is a fact that many of you, most of you, need to have an adaptation period in the astral plane. And many of you continue for a long time on this same plane until your conscious are properly cleaned up, shall we say. Your consciouses are really awakened to move on to other planes. Evidently, many things happen because of the law of action and reaction. People who leave their physical bodies end up going to the astral plane. And when the Akashic records gradually come to their memories, average people, let's say normal people, people who had a life without being connected to the awakening of spirituality, upon their awakening in their spiritual evolution, let's say, these people who during their lives did not wake up to this issue, let's call them average people, because many people are in this situation. These average people go through a process in which gradually their memories, both of the life they have just left and of other lives as well, these memories surface. Many feelings are aroused, and clearly in these average people, a large part of these feelings are negative feelings, mainly because of guilt, anger. In other words, many negative feelings come up when the memories are made available. In this way, many of them end up giving in to these negative energies because of these feelings. And for many years, carry these negative energies until little by little, after so many bad experiences and after going through the astral plane, these individuals start getting better clarification by living with other beings on the astral plane, sometimes receiving intuitions, receiving information from the spiritual plane, from their loved ones, from people they were close to in the past life or other lives, and they end up having their conscious awakened little by little. With that, they seek the path of real truth, the path of reality, energization, and spiritual elevation. This can happen after many, many years for these average people, until a point when they are vibrating higher energies, and then, with more awareness of the reality, these people ask for help. They start surrendering to God. They start believing in spirituality. They start looking for their evolution. By reaching a certain level of energy, their petitions, their requests, as well as the requests of their loved ones, can be answered. Then they can be rescued to make the transition to the spiritual plane. Depending on the emotional state, as well as the etheric and mental bodies of these people, they are treated in specific places on the spiritual plane. They are guided, and after being fully recovered and properly oriented, these people can work, seek to be useful on the spiritual plane, and thus obtain their merits, obtain their credits, and seek their spiritual education to learn, to know, to rise, to become more and more aware. With all this learning, rising their energies even more. Evidently, their memories of past lives are still present in their memories, and at a certain moment, these beings can make the choice to redeem themselves from their guilt, from their feelings, to redeem themselves from their actions in other lives. So, for these beings to reach a higher degree of evolution, they have the option to reincarnate again. In that case, there is a detailed plan that goes starting with the place where this new life will take place, details of its characteristics, physical limitations, intellectual limitations, all of this for the sake of evolution, all for the sake of rescuing the things that were done in past lives. Then, together with the beings of light, beings who are more experienced in the spiritual plane, these beings define their plan to reincarnate. And after many preparations, after much planning, they receive authorization to reincarnate. So they return for another cycle of their lives. Evidently, with all these preparation cycles, more and more human beings, beings in general, are becoming more perfected. They come with more knowledge. They come with more learning. Therefore, my dear human beings who listen to us, with all this knowledge of the cycle of our lives, we beings of light, we want to demonstrate to you that some stages of our evolution can be advanced from the moment we are able to establish, to discover, let's say, to have a higher consciousness right here on the material plane. And so, that way, you can skip a few steps. If you reach elevated energies while you are still on the material plane, once you make the transition to the astral plane, you will already be much more aware. You will need less time and less effort to reach the level of energy to be taken to the spiritual plane. You will already have more knowledge so that you deserve to move to the spiritual plane in a more accelerated way than the average people that we have just mentioned. That is why it is important for you to understand how this cycle works, and also to understand the great importance, the great opportunity that you all have to wake up, to raise your energies, and in this way, not only collaborate for development, for your development, but also to collaborate for the development of humanity as a whole. As we are one with God, the more we evolve and the more we will be collaborating for the evolution of humanity as a whole. That is why, dear friends who listen to us, we beings of light insist that you have this awareness of how important it is to seek spiritual elevation, to seek to vibrate in higher energies. We know that it is a tortuous path, it is a complex path due to various information that have been part of your daily life and that cover up the true reality. But with this message, dear ones, we want you to be on the point of rising. Thank you all. Have a great week. So be it, so it is. It is done. Thank God.